Night fell over the little town like ash. Ella Hart clutched her niece under her coat and hurried down a back street. The main road still carried saloon laughter, but here the wind moved between crates and a leaning fence. Only a few breaths more to the boarding house step, a key under the stone, a door between them and the banker's men. Bootsteps closed in. The first blow struck like a thrown stone. Elle stumbled, curling around the child. The man who hit her wore a banker's smile that did not reach his eyes. Another blocked the exit, broad as a door, and a third dragged a rope so it kissed the dirt. "You talk too much in court," the smiling one said. "Our employer does not enjoy talkers." "I have a child," Ella whispered. "Then hush," he said, and raised his hand again. She took the hit and tasted iron. A lantern swung and painted the fence in yellow and black. Ella lifted her chin. "You can take my purse," she said. "You cannot take what I said," the big man snorted. "Wrong answer." A shadow fell across them. Metal rang, clean and sudden, like a hammer kissing an anvil. The shadow moved with the weight of someone used to working, steady, spare, nothing wasted. He caught the raised arm and turned the blow aside. Elle saw a coat dark with soot and a hat brim wet with evening. She saw hands that knew how to break and how not to. The stranger stepped between her and the men and planted himself like a post set deep. "Walk away," he said. The smiling man tried to laugh. "You aim to file a complaint?" "I aim to make you stop." A quick shift, a shoulder, the thud of a body hitting the wall. The rope dropped. The big man swung, but the stranger read the swing and slid under it, then hooked the knee. Dirt puffed. Metal clicked again, not a gun but a pair of irons. In 3 beats he had the worst of them face down, wrists pinned under new steel. He looked at Elle at last. His eyes were riverstone gray. His voice was low and even. "No one hurts her again." Ella held her niece and blinked. "Who are you?" she asked. "Caleb Ward," he said. "Smith out by the cottonwoods." The banker's man tried to talk from the dirt. Caleb put one knee between his shoulders and tightened the irons. "You will stand when I choose," he said, "and you will walk to the sheriff. Or you will crawl. Either way, you will not touch her." He looked at Ella. "Can you stand?" She tested her knees. "Yes." "Good. I will see you safe." They walked, Caleb steering the 3 men with calm words and a steady hand. At the sheriff's office, a lamp burned late. The deputy took the report and made smooth promises. Caleb watched without blinking. Outside, the wind cut sharply. Ella hugged her niece. "You have a place to sleep?" He asked. "Yes," she said, and lied. The boarding house key had been taken the day she testified. Caleb did not press. "I have a bunkhouse. Plain and clean. You and the little one can take the bed. I will keep the fire and the door. Only till morning if you wish." Pride rose and then fell back tired. She looked at her niece's blue lips in the stretch of night. She nodded. "Thank you." They reached the yard where his Ford sat quietly. Caleb set extra wood by the stove and found a tin cup for the child. He kept to the edge of light. Elle tucked her niece under a wool blanket. In the hush, pain in her cheek began to speak. She pressed her fingers there and winced. Caleb poured warm water into a basin and set out a cloth. "This will help," he said. "You can do it yourself." He placed the basin within reach and stepped back. The mercy of that space unknotted her. She dabbed the cloth to her skin and tears came. When she could speak, she said, "I will pay you for the trouble." "It is no trouble. You did not have to stop." "I did," he said. He checked the latch, then the window, then the banked coals. "Sleep." Elle lay back, the cloth cooling her cheek. Wind moved in the leaves. She matched her breathing to the child's. The deputy's smooth promises slid through her mind like coins across a counter. She pinned the thought like a seamstress pins cloth. For tonight there was a door that held. For tonight there was a man who had said it once and would say it again. No one hurts her again. She let herself believe it. Morning was pale over the cottonwoods. Smoke rose from the banked coals. Elle awoke with her niece under her arm. Her cheek throbbed. Then she remembered the man who had stood between her and the night. Caleb tapped the jam. "Hot water," he said. "Coffee for me. Oats for the little one." "We will not trouble you long," Elle said. "You are not trouble." He set the kettle inside the door and stayed there. "Before the day begins, I need to say this plainly. My rule is simple. Your safety first. Your choice is always, you do not owe me thanks, coin, or company. If you stay, I'll keep the door. If you go, I'll walk you to where you mean to be." "Thank you," Elle said. Her niece Ruthie blinked from the blanket. Caleb crouched but kept space. "Morning," he said. "There is honey for the oats." While the oats thickened, Ella washed and braided her hair. They ate in quiet. "We must find a room today," Elle said. "The boarding house will not take us back. The banker pays her too well." "There is a widow who rents a back room," Caleb said. "It is small, but the lock holds. I can ask. Or I can give you her name and you ask." "Please ask," Elle said. "I should come too." "You should," he said. She wrapped Ruthie's shawl, then paused. "I noticed something yesterday," she said. "It might be nothing." "Will you hear and not run to fight?" "Reckless is expensive," he said. "I try not to buy it." In the clerk's office, under the desk edge, someone scratched a tally. 4 long lines, then one across. The cross curled like a ranch brand I once saw, and the banker brought notes with extra dots in the margins like pinholes. The numbers on those notes did not match any sums due. "You are sure about the curl?" "Yes." He took a small book and sketched. "A bar with a curled cross. Brand of 3 hills," he said. "They lost men last spring. The ranch has been bleeding coin." "I teach one of their boys," Elle said. "He told me the owner started hiring men from the banker, men who talk with their fists." "Dots could be a code," Caleb said. "Dots for day, left margin for east, right for west, or yards of track. Simple to read fast. Why would a ranch and a bank hide sums like that? To move debt without eyes. To buy and sell paper like steers. If the sums do not match, someone is skimming. Or hiding something worse," Elle said. "Hungry men with ropes do not line up for a ledger error." He nodded. "We do this right. With proof. Not with fists, I agree. Widow's cottage first," he said. "Then if you wish, the schoolhouse. Show me the tally." "I will show you." They stepped into the morning. Caleb harnessed the mare. Ruthie clapped at the shine of the buckles. They rolled into town past the livery and turned down a lane lined with cottonwood fluff. Vines climbed the porch posts of the widow's cottage. Caleb knocked and spoke her name, then stepped back so Ella could stand forward. "Good morning," Elle said. "I am Ella Hart. I teach at the school. I am looking for a room with a true lock." The widow saw the bruise and opened the door wide. "You may have the back room and 2 bolts besides," she said. By noon the room was theirs. The lock turned firm. Ella stood inside and felt something ease under her ribs. She made the bed for Ruthie and tucked their small sack under the frame. Then she turned to Caleb. "The schoolhouse?" "If you wish, I wish." They walked the half-mile in dust. The school stood on a low rise, 1 bell, 1 door. Inside, desks faced the slate. The clerk's desk bore years of wear. Ella knelt, lifted the front edge, and showed him the tally carved where a child's fingers would never see it. 4 long lines, 1 crossing stroke, a curl on the cross like smoke. Caleb bent without touching. He nodded. "All right," he said. "Now we listen for the rest of the pattern." "How do we listen?" Elle asked. "We set out lines," he said. "Quiet lines. If there is a current, it will hum. We will hear it. We move slowly and only if you choose." "I choose," Elle said. The bruise still ached, but the ache felt smaller beside the rule he had given her. Safety first, choice always. She touched the desk for memory and stood. Ruthie slipped her hand into hers. The bell rope stirred in the draft, a note that did not ring yet but promised it could. Dust rose as they walked toward town. The school bell had not rung, yet its promise moved with them. Caleb kept an even pace so Ruthie could skip and not tire. "What are quiet lines?" Elle asked. "Ways to watch," he said. "Not traps. Places where truth shows. Like a slate left clean so chalk marks stand out." He nodded. On Main Street, the telegraph office clacked. The operator, a thin man with ink on his sleeves, looked up. Caleb tipped his hat. "Morning, Whit." "Morning," Whit said. Elle stepped to the counter. "When the bank sends wires to the rail yard, are they sent late?" Whit's gaze took in her bruise and Ruthie's small hands. "Mostly at night," he said. "Night deals step soft. Do you keep copies?" Elle asked. "Only for the court." "Thank you," she said, and they stepped out. The deputy waited on the boardwalk. His badge caught light like a lure. "Miss Hart," he said, smooth as oil. "You should have sent for me." "I did not know where you were," she said. "I'm here now." His eyes slid to Caleb. "Some men play at law. They make a mess." "Protection is a job," Caleb said. "Also a duty." The deputy smiled without warmth. "Let me set a watch at your door." "Two big men. On the house?" "No," Elle said gently. "Thank you." A pause. "As you wish," he said and moved on. Caleb watched him go. "He offers sugar so he can sell the jar." "I felt that," Elle said. At the mercantile, Caleb bought lamp oil and a coil of thin wire. Elle chose a small tin of rose salve. The scent was soft like a garden after rain. Ruthie pressed her nose to it and sighed. A boy from 3 Hills ran up with a sack of nails. "Mr. Ward, the corral hinge is sprung." "I'll ride by after supper," Caleb said. When the boy left, he said to Ella, 3 Hills is tied to the brand you saw." "I know," Elle said. "And that boy carries bruises he does not name." They reached the widow's cottage. She met them with a loaf wrapped in cloth. "For the child," she said, eyes flicking to the lane. 2 men stood there after you left. They looked at the lock. Caleb set the wire on the table. "I'll walk the lane," he said. Outside, cottonwood leaves rattled. 2 cigar ends smoldered. Caleb touched one. "Banker's blend," he said softly. "Vanilla to hide the bite." "What will you do?" Ella asked. "Hold ground and write everything down." He wrapped the stubs and slid them into his pocket. In the yard, he stretched the thin wire across the back fence at knee height, hung a tiny bell and set a lantern where it would glow if the line tugged. He tied the knot slowly so Ella could see. "This is a quiet line," he said. "It tells me if someone comes." "I can set one at the schoolhouse," she said. "At night, if you choose." "I choose," she said. He looked toward town. "Next we find the ledger or the shadow of it. We find one marked note with a wrong sum. Then we catch a wire at the right hour. How? We borrow the banker's pride. Proud men like a show. If they think we are scared, they strut." Ruthie leaned out the door. "A man is coming," she whispered. The banker turned up the lane. Smooth hat, smooth smile, gloves too clean for dust. He praised the vines and the weather. Then his eyes found Elle. "Miss Hart," he said, "let me advance you a loan so you can rest." "I do not need a loan," she said. "All ladies need support." Caleb stepped to the gate and did not open it. "She has support." The banker's gaze slid over him and moved on. "You testified. Brave but often mixed with misunderstanding. Words can be smoothed. Come by my office. I'll show you how numbers fix themselves." "Numbers do not fix themselves," Elle said. His smile cooled. "Then let me show you how towns fix talkers." Caleb's voice thinned like wire. "Leave." The banker glanced at the fence line. He did not see the bell that did not ring. He tipped his hat and went back to the street where the deputy waited in the shade. Elle's breath shook and steadied. "He will try again." "He will," Caleb said. "When he does, we will be ready, and we will not be alone." That afternoon, Caleb mended a hinge at 3 Hills. Elle taught sums with the door propped wide. After the last slate was wiped, she traced the carved tally again, 4 long lines and a curled cross, and tied a thread with a tiny bell inside the window frame, where no child would notice. The room smelled of chalk and wood and the rose salve on her cheek. She stood still and listened until the silence made a shape. Near dusk, Whit passed by the cottage with his hat in his hands. He stopped at the fence. "Ma'am," he said to Elle, "if a judge asks for copies, I keep them. If a church committee asks for the time a wire was sent, I keep that too. Thank you, Whit, she said. She heard what he could say and what he could not. After supper, Caleb set a small notebook on the table. Here is our list, he said. Ledger marks. One marked note. A copy of a night wire. The brand tally at the school. Names and hours. He laid down the pencil. We build this slowly. We do not rush into fists. We let the truth walk in by itself. Elle signed at the bottom, not as a promise to him but to herself. Then she added 2 words. For Ruthie. Wind moved in the cottonwoods. A train called once and far. The bell on the fence stayed quiet. The lamp threw warm light. The day had scraped her like sandpaper. Yet under it she felt a new grain. Not smooth. Not healed, but shaped. Tomorrow, Caleb said. Tomorrow, she answered. The next morning the list lay on the table like a map. Caleb sharpened the pencil. Ella checked the bell line at the door. We start with the ranch books, Caleb said. If the sums jump on nights a wire goes out, we will see it. Will the foreman let us look? Elle asked. If we ask with respect, he said. They rode to 3 Hills as the sun tipped over the grass. The foreman, a weathered man with a square jaw, met them by the corral. He noticed Elle's bruise, then Caleb's stance. Someone may be bleeding your coin, Caleb said. Quietly, the foreman's eyes sharpened. Step inside. In a small office, 2 ledgers sat on a crate. I don't sign blind, the foreman said, but I don't always know what I see. Elle traced a line with 1 finger. Here, 5 hands added on a Tuesday. The note says advance for tools, but the supply list shows no tools. Tools don't drink, the foreman muttered. Look at the mark, Caleb said. 3 Hills has a plain cross. This curl here, same curl I saw carved under a school desk. Bad habit of a bad man, the foreman said. If he scratched that curl everywhere he skimmed, we own a road to him. May we copy these lines? Elle asked. You may if the book stays here. She wrote dates and sums on a clean sheet. Caleb matched each entry to a night. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The pattern is set like posts in a row. Thank you, Elle told the foreman. My people are tired, he said. If a banker is charging them to work, I want to see him cough it back. At the telegraph office, Whit kept his hands busy and his voice careful. If a church committee asked for hours, he said, I would know them. Let us say a committee did, Elle said. It needs the hours the wires went to the yard in the last 10 days. Whit slid a calendar across the counter and tapped 3 squares. Late, later, late again. On Main Street, the banker came out as a farmer pleaded for time. He moved on. They did too. At the sheriff's, the deputy leaned in his chair. Any more trouble? He asked. Not while decent men sleep, Caleb said. We came to add to the report names, hours. The deputy made a show of writing. His pencil stayed dull. Good citizens help the law, he said. Children are not a business, Elle answered. Back at the widow's cottage, Elle spread the copied lines on the table. Caleb drew a new column. Wires. He marked the 3 late nights Whit had tapped. Then he marked the ranch's false tool advances on those same days. The marks matched like tracks crossing the same creek. It is not proof yet, Elle said. No, Caleb agreed. But the truth is clearing its throat. They split chores. Elle walked to the schoolhouse and checked her silent bell line. She hid notes behind a loose board, times, names, arrows that meant nothing to a child. She wrote to herself, We will not be rushed. Caleb went to the livery and traded for 2 old lanterns and a wooden box with a broken lock. Scrap, the liveryman said. Good scrap, Caleb answered. At dusk they met in the telegraph office's back alley. Whit's window glowed. He kept his eyes on his key, but set a slip on the sill. A copied figure from last night's wire, 2 numbers switched. A clumsy trick that moved dead east. This alone can open questions, Elle said. It will be more, Caleb said, when we have a second slip and a voice to match it. They walked home as lamps woke. The banker and the deputy talked under the same roofline, shadows leaning close. Caleb's jaw worked, then stilled. We prepare the yard, he said. Not tonight, soon. How? Elle asked. We set a decoy box inside a real-looking shipment. We run a thin relay from the telegraph shed to a hidden key. When their man whispers time and some, the wire will copy his words while he thinks he is only boasting. And the men who hid in the alley? I will keep them from breaking bones, he said. The law must find them breathing. Wind moved through cottonwoods. The bell at the fence did not ring. Inside they added to the list, second slip, decoy cash box, relay wire, a safe place for Ruthie during the sting. Elle underlined that last item twice. Caleb underlined it a third time. They shared a quiet look that said the same thing without words. Safety first, choice always. Then they banked the coals and let the house go still, while a plan began to breathe like a small new fire. Whit closed his shutters that night and left the window unlatched. Inside, the key clicked and paused. Caleb stood in the alley. Ella waited by the shed, Ruthie safe with the widow. The moon was thin softly. Tonight is only a test, Caleb said. We touch nothing we cannot undo. Elle nodded. We borrow their pride, not their property. He set the relay wire along the wall up to the sill and into the dark of Whit's bench, where a second key waited. The small arms would copy whatever the main key spoke, scratching dots and dashes onto a strip. Whit wiped his hands. If anyone asks, I'm cleaning contacts, he said. If anyone shouts, I'm deaf. You do not have to do this, Elle said. I do, Whit answered. I have sisters. Caleb tied the wire with coils that could slip free if someone tugged. He lit 2 lanterns low, enough to see a hand. Then he set the wooden cash box on a crate. Its lock was new. Its weight was true. Inside lay paper-wrapped stones and sawdust. Elle wrote the time and the aim. Copy a night message tied to the banker's sums. She wrote the rule, safety first. Choice always. Then she slid the page into her pocket. We need a chain, she said. A way to show this paper kept its shape. Whit took a church stamp from a drawer. A small blue cross pressed wax into the edge when heated. Not the court seal, he said, but a judge will know it marks a fixed hour. Good, Elle said. We stamp when it starts and when it ends. They walked each motion. If a man came down the alley, Caleb would speak first. If 2 came, he would draw them off without breaking bones. If 3 came, Whit would cough twice and Elle would slip behind crates and out of the shed. They waited. A train moaned. The key clicked while Whit tuned lines, but no night wire came. At last, Whit shook his head. Quiet, he said. They are holding their breath. That tells us something, Caleb said. A proud man goes still before a show. They coiled the relay and hid it under loose boards. Elle drew a small rose beside her note. The next day they built the proof box. Caleb planned a false bottom that lifted quickly. Elle sewed a pocket into her shawl and tucked a stub of pencil there. She copied the crooked sums from the ranch book again, slow and exact, and practiced saying them aloud. In the afternoon, they asked the traveling pastor to witness a short list of times kept at home. Bells rung. Lanterns lit Ruthie's sleep, trains calling. He signed and pressed the same blue cross. At sunset, the foreman from 3 Hills rode in. 2 of mine were told they owe the bank for boots they never saw, he said. They were ordered to work it off at the night yard. Tell them to stay home tonight, Caleb said. Done, the foreman said. What else? Bring the tally stick, Elle said. The one you mark wages with. It's just pine. It is proof, she said. He returned after dark with the stick. Ella wrote each notch, matched it to the book lines, and showed where the book climbed higher than the stick. Someone added debt after the marks were cut. My stomach knew, the foreman said. Now my eyes know. Caleb set the decoy cash box in the wagon bed. He struck the rim once. The sound rang and died. Good, he said. It will sound like a coin when lifted. Elle touched rose salve to her bruise. Tonight? She asked. Not yet, he said. Almost is not enough. They walked the yard at dusk. Caleb set tripline lanterns between crates. Ella practiced sliding the copied strip under the church-stamped page without creasing. By the third try she could do it blind. Ruthie slept at the widow's with a tin whistle under her pillow. Night came slowly. The key clicked, then fell quiet. Whit opened his ledger and pretended to add. The deputy strolled by and tipped his hat. The banker passed with a smile you could rest a coin on. Ella stood straight and felt the fear and did not chase it away. She let it sit beside the rule they had made. "When the right night comes," she said, "we will be ready." "We will," Caleb answered. "And when it comes, we will not take more than we must." He doused the test lanterns, coiled the relay, and locked the shed. They walked home under cold stars. Behind them, the alley held its breath. Ahead, the cottonwoods whispered. Between those sounds lay the thin line of what they had chosen. Not rage, not flight, but proof. Dawn came bright and hard. Town felt like a drumhead pulled tight. Work moved, but each step listened for a signal. Caleb checked the wagon and straps on the decoy box. He smeared soot on the new lock so it looked used. Ella stitched muslin over the false bottom so it looked like packing. Ruthie tied a blue ribbon to the handle. "For luck," she said. "For courage," Elle said. They split the day. Caleb would speak with the yard watchman about a late crate and mark where it could sit. Elle would visit the clerk's office for school supplies and by accident stand near the banker's desk. Whit would test the line at noon and at dusk. Before Caleb left, he held out his hand. "Say it again. Safety first." "My choice always," Elle said. "And mine," he answered. No rushed fists. At the yard, the watchman, an old man named Greeley, squinted. "Night loads?" "Mixed spares and rails," Caleb said. "Set the crate near the shed, easy to fetch early." 5 feet left of the door won't trip a cart, Greeley said. The foreman wrote your name twice. The handwriting was too fine for a yard man. "Thank you," Caleb said, pocketing the hint. Ella walked to the clerk's office with a list for chalk and coal. The banker came out. "Miss Hart," he said smoothly, "my deputy worries for you. Let him sit at your door. I'll pay." "I have a lock," she said. "Locks are for wood. Men are for danger." "I know the difference." He tipped his hat and left a trace of smoke. Outside, the deputy waited in the shade like a coin ready to be picked up. "I insist," he said softly. A knot is forming. "At sundown, I'll send a wagon to move you to a safer street. I promised the judge I would take care." Ella's heart struck once. "The judge asked you?" "He will," the deputy said and smiled. She carried the chalk to Whit and set it down. "What hour?" Whit asked. "Sundown," she said. "A wagon. He wants me to ride." Whit's jaw worked. "I'll be here." At the widow's, Caleb listened and nodded once. "All right," he said. "We slide the decoy into that wagon and follow on foot. He thinks he delivers fear. He will deliver proof." "He might think he helps," Elle said. "He is holding 2 ropes," Caleb answered. "One will burn his hand, they set the rest." Ruthie would sleep at the pastor's. The foreman would keep his men home. What would heat the church stamp so it was ready the moment the key began to talk? Greeley would leave the shed door unlatched by mistake. The bell line stayed tied. Afternoon crawled. Elle wrote 2 letters. One to the judge asking for a hearing if proof came. One to the sheriff naming times and fears. Sealed and marked to be delivered at dawn if she did not return by midnight. She slipped them under the widow's Bible. She braided Ruthie's hair. "Where are you going?" Ruthie asked. "To help the town tell the truth," Elle said. "Will it hurt?" "It might," Elle said, "but we won't let hurt rule it." Ruthie touched the blue ribbon. "Then take it back," she whispered. Dusk pressed down. Wheels rattled. A wagon waited, canvas cover, 2 big men on the seat. The deputy walked beside it. "Time to move you, Miss Hart," he said softly. "For safety." Elle stood in the doorway and felt the rage rise inside her. "One condition," she said. "My box comes with me." Caleb lifted the decoy and set it at the wagon's tail. The deputy nodded. "Of course," the widow hugged Ruthie and shut the door. Elle climbed up. Caleb spoke low to Greeley at the corner and then fell in behind, hat down. Whit lit his lamp and checked the spare key. The wagon rolled toward the yard. The big men did not speak. One had a scar like a thumbprint on his neck. Ella kept her hands in her lap and counted fences. At the third, she heard a sound she knew now. A lie breathing. They turned toward the shed. Greeley loitered by a water pail and did not see them, which meant he saw everything. At the office window, Witt's lamp burned steadily. On the banker's porch, a shadow slipped off and moved the same way the wagon moved. Caleb drifted into the alley and vanished against the wall. The wagon halted. "Just a moment," the deputy said. "We'll tuck you here until the street is safe." The big men jumped down. One reached for the box. The handle lifted and the ribbon flashed blue in the dusk. Ella breathed once, steady. The real night was about to start. The blue ribbon flashed as the big man lifted the box. Canvas creaked. The deputy stood close to Elle, hat low, voice soft. "Stay in the wagon, Miss Hart. I'll see you safe." His words were warm milk turned sour. Elle watched his hands instead of his smile. They were too clean for night work. Caleb waited along the shed wall, a quiet shape. "Put the box by the shed," the deputy said. "We'll move the lady once the street calms." Witt's lamp held steady in the office window. The scar-necked man dropped the box hard to hear the ring. It rang like a coin. The other pulled the canvas down to hide what came next. "Miss Hart," the deputy murmured. "Did you bring those notes? The ones with dots? Best if I keep them safe." "I brought nothing for you," Elle said. He sighed. "Then give me what you do have, words, names. Say again what you saw under the school desk." 4 marks and a curled cross. He glanced toward the banker's porch. "Good. We'll make sure you stop telling that tale. You'll write a new one that says you were mistaken." Elle felt heat rise, then let it pass like smoke. Caleb stepped out. "Deputy," he said. "She rides with me now." "Blacksmith," the deputy answered, smiling. "Heroes come and go. Badges stay." "Then keep that badge clean," Caleb said. The big men moved to close the wagon. Caleb moved first. As if steadying the box, he set his heel on the trip line. A lantern tipped and flared just enough to blind for a blink. In that blink, he took the scar-necked man's balance and set him down. Not hard, hard enough. The second charge. Caleb let him pass and wrapped him in the loose canvas like a blind ox. "Stop," he said. The word held. The deputy drew a small pistol, flat as a card. He let it rest in his hand. "Enough. You won't fire," Caleb said. "You need quiet. You need your lawyer's coat for your theft." "Big words," the deputy said. He nodded toward the office. "Fetch the operator. Tell him to wire the yard. Late shipment, east track, amount as agreed." He wanted Witt to send the banker's message, to let the yard carry his crime like a clean ledger line. Elle saw the pivot. If Witt sent while the deputy stood over him, the words would belong to the deputy. If the live key copied them, the paper would mirror his mouth. Pride had led him to the wire. Greed would hold him there. She climbed down, palms open. "Deputy," she said, "I'll go to your safe street." "But the school board wants tidy sums." "Don't let your operator guess. Speak every number yourself so nothing tangles." He brightened. The pistol slid back into his coat. He walked toward Witt's door with the strut of a man who thinks he writes the play. Caleb drifted after, lantern hooded to a low glow. Witt opened. The deputy planted himself where the live key's twin would hear every breath. "To the yardmaster," he dictated. "Shipment received. East track. Payoff tonight at 11. Witt's fingers hovered over his key. Beneath the bench, the second arm began to tick, copying the living voice. The paper crawled. The deputy said again, greedy now. 1250. Mark notes with 2 dots east, 1 dot west. The girl is quiet. The blacksmith is tame. Witt sent exactly that. The twin scratched it all. Caleb covered the doorway, calm as iron. The canvas-wrapped men cursed and stilled. The small lantern burned like a star in a jar. "Add," the deputy said, voice warmed by power. "Charge 3 hills their share. Write it as tools. Use the curl," Witt wrote. The arms wrote. Elle watched the badge throw a shadow on the wall. She did not feel strong. She felt exact. Now send the banker, the deputy finished. We own the door, Witt said. The arms obeyed. It is done, the deputy said, satisfied. He turned that mild smile on Ella. See? Order tidy? Tidy, she said. He tipped his hat and moved for the door. Caleb stepped aside, not blocking, only present. You're done for tonight, he said, am I? The deputy asked. His fingers brushed the pistol. We will see. He walked into the yard's light, not knowing his mouth had laid rails the law could follow. The wire hummed. The paper slid on. It will hold, Ella whispered. It will hold, Caleb said. They had not planned this shape, but truth had found it. Now they would build the rest around it. A second stamp, a marked note, an hour to bring the judge. Outside, cottonwood stirred and night breathed, feeding a fire. Witt slid the copied strip from the second key and pressed the warm church stamp across the edge. The blue cross sealed the paper to time. He handed it to Elle. It has his voice on it, Witt said. Every greedy word. It will need a twin, Elle said. A second copy from the yardmaster's reply. Caleb nodded. And one more stone, the marked notes. They moved fast, but not loudly. Greeley leaned his back against the shed door. The two hired men, freed from the canvas, nursed their wrists. Caleb faced them. Go home, he said. Tonight you earn nothing more here. Tomorrow bring what you know to the hearing, and you keep your skin. They went. The deputy, thinking himself finished, walked down the track toward the banker's porch to report a clean night. Now the noose tightens, Elle said softly. On the plan. Not on throats, Caleb answered. They split again. Witt stayed at his key, ready to copy any reply. Elle carried the stamped strip to the widow's cottage and slid it under the family Bible beside her letters. Then she kissed Ruthie's hair and whispered, Almost done. Ruthie smiled in her sleep and held the blue ribbon. On Main Street, lamps burned. The banker stepped into that light. He turned his ring and waited. The deputy joined him. Two more men came out of the dark behind the widow's fence. Caleb saw it. False protection, he said. They mean to sweep the cottage, say they are moving you again and make you vanish. We cannot fight a raid with fists, Elle said. We won't, he answered. We will turn it so it shows itself. Boots hit the step. The widow stood in her doorway with a skillet. The deputy touched his brim. Town order, he said. Ladies to the church for the night. Ruthie is asleep, Elle said. We will carry her, he said. No, Caleb said. He stood in the yard. You will speak the order out loud with your name on it. Then you will wait while we fetch the pastor to hear it. The deputy's smile thinned. No time for papers. There is time, Elle said, steady. If harm is near, let the bell ring so neighbors can pray. Curtains stirred. A lamp lit next door. Very well, he said tightly. Ladies may remain. He turned to his men. Walk the lane. The men drifted away. The noose slipped, Elle said. Good, Caleb answered. Now the yard. Witt met them at the shed with a second stamped strip. Reply, he said. Payment confirmed. East track 11. Ella slid the twin into her shawl. They set the last pieces. The decoy box waited near the shed. Tripline lanterns were angled to flare and die. The relay sat hidden under Witt's bench, paper fresh and ready. Caleb looked to Elle. We can still walk away, he said. Say the word, and we'll let the judge take this much and no more. She imagined tomorrow without the envelope, without the marked notes, without the deputy's hands caught with numbers. The story would hold, but it would limp. We finish, she said. We do it clean. Night gathered. At 10:50, a man in a narrow hat slid into the yard shadow. He went to the decoy box, lifted, heard the ring, and smiled. Then he looked to the telegraph window. The deputy stepped from the office and gave a nod. Remember? Caleb murmured. No broken bones we don't need. The narrow hat man cut the lock with a pocket saw. The false bottom fooled his fingers. He lifted paper-wrapped stones and slid an envelope of notes beneath. He marked the top bill with 2 dots east, 1 dot west, and a tiny curl. Then he closed the lid and tapped it twice. Signal taken. The trip line flicked. A lantern hiccuped light and died. In that soft flash, Caleb stepped in, turned the man's wrist, and laid him down between crate and wheel. "Easy," he said. The deputy started forward, then stopped. He was not ready to be seen with crime in the open. Witt's key clicked once, twice, sealing the last time mark. Ella's pencil moved. She wrote 11 sharp. Envelope placed. Mark seen. Caleb lifted the lid. The envelope lay where fingers had set it. He did not touch it. "Ella," he said. She stepped close, eyes on details. "Dots east, 1 west," she said, "and the curl." She pointed with the pencil, not her skin. "Witt, copy the top serial number." Witt leaned out and wrote fast. "Done," he said. "Close it," Caleb said. The lid fell. The scene held its breath. The deputy turned to go, sure he had moved his pieces well. "Tomorrow," Elle whispered. "The hearing." "Tomorrow," Caleb answered, and the night let go. Morning came thin and cold. A bell tolled twice, calling people to the county hall. Elle tied Ruthie's ribbon around the copied strips and slipped them into her shawl. Caleb checked the door and walked beside her. It was time to set each piece down and let the truth carry its own weight. The hall was plain pine. A judge sat under a faded flag. The sheriff stood on one side. The deputy took the other. Witt wore a clean shirt. The Three Hills foreman held his tally stick. The judge rapped once. "We will hear sworn words only," he said. No shouting. No fists. The sheriff called Witt. "Last night at 10:50 and 11 I sent and received wires to the yardmaster," he said. "I copied them on a second key as they were spoken." He showed the stamped strip. The blue cross fixed the time. These words were dictated by the deputy. A murmur rolled. The deputy smiled thinly. "Routine protection," he said. "I asked the operator to note a shipment." "Read the words," the judge said. Witt read. "Shipment received. East track. Payoff tonight at 11. Sum, 1,250. Mark notes with 2 dots east, 1 dot west. The girl is quiet. The blacksmith is tame. Add charge 3 Hills their share. Write it as tools. Use the curl. Banker. We own the door." The judge's eyebrows dropped. "Deputy?" The deputy spread his hands. Hard nights bend words. "My aim was safety." The judge called the foreman. He set down his stick and ranch book. Elle helped him find the lines. He tapped wages and dates. "My men worked 8 days," he said. "The book says 12. The extra 4 match late-night wires. The curl mark is not mine." The banker leaned forward. "Clerk's error. Ranchers lose count." Elle spoke as a schoolteacher. "The same curl is carved under my desk," she said. "Children do not sit there." The judge called Greeley. The watchman told how the crate sat by the shed, how a lantern flared and died, how no bones broke. "The blacksmith held back on purpose," he said. The sheriff lifted an envelope in tongs. "We fetched this at dawn," he said. Top note marked with 2 dots east, 1 dot west, and a curl. He read the serial number. Witt read the same from his copy. Then the judge read. Each voice matched. 2 hired men from the night stood next. One said, "The deputy paid us to scare the teacher and move the box." The other said, "He told us to use church words if asked." Silence held. The judge rubbed his eyes. "Deputy, you mixed your badge with a banker's purse. You are stripped of office as of this hour." He turned to the sheriff. "Hold him for trial." He looked to the banker. "You will return every coin skimmed by curled marks and false debt. You will pay wages owed with interest. You will fund a clean watch at the yard for 30 nights and a rail ticket for any woman who asks to leave." The banker's smile cracked. The deputy reached for a reason and found none. The sheriff took his gun and badge. A long breath went out of the room as if the town had held it all summer. The judge went on. "As for the girl sent to camps, we send wires now. Any camp that holds a woman for debt will answer to this court." "Operator right," Witt wrote. Keys clacked. The judge turned to Elle. "Miss Hart, you may speak any name of harm. This court will record it." Ella's throat closed, then opened. "I will bring a list tomorrow," she said. "I will not rush a name." "Good," said the judge. "We are adjourned." People filed out into the noon light. The banker rode away, smaller. The deputy stared at empty hands. The foreman gripped Caleb's arm. "My people will eat," he said. Whit squeezed Ella's shoulder. "The wire told the truth," he said. Ella stood on the steps. "Not just the wire," she said. "All of it had to sing together." Caleb joined her. He did not touch her. "You did it," he said. "We did it," she answered. They walked back to the widow's through a town that seemed to see farther than it had in the morning. Cottonwoods flickered. A train called far off, sounding less like a threat and more like a road mended. Ruthie ran to the gate with her blue ribbon flying. "Is it over?" she asked. "For today," Elle said, kneeling to hug her. For today the door held. Evening leaned in softer than before. The porch waited. There was one more thing to say under that light. One more promise to shape with care. They sat on the widow's porch as sunset thinned to pearl. The day's noise faded into cups and low voices. Ruthie chalked flowers on the step. Ella held warm tea and watched the street. Caleb stood by the railing. He had washed the soot from his hands, but iron lived in the lines. He looked at the road, not at her, as if giving one more measure of space. "You kept your vow," she said. "I kept a door," he answered. "It was more than a door." He shook his head. "You walked through it." "That was more." Ruthie leaned against Ella's knee. "The judge talked like a bell," she said. "He did," Elle said. And the bell rang. The widow brought bread. "Eat," she said. Victory is a hungry thing. Also sorrow. They ate. The quiet held. When the dishes were stacked, Caleb said, "I am leaving the bunkhouse door unlocked. Any woman traveling through who needs a night of steadiness may have that bed. I will mend the step. 2 bolts. A rule on the wall." "What rule?" Ruthie asked. "Safety first," he said. Her choice always. Elle's hand stilled. The words found a place inside her she had not named. "A teacher's room and a safe bed," she said. "At the schoolhouse we have a back closet. If the board approves, we can put a cot there, a trunk with plain dresses, soap, and a Bible, a list of rail times. And a tin of rose salve," Ruthie added. "And that?" Elle agreed. Caleb nodded. "I'll cut a sign." They watched the light finish its work on the road. "Caleb," Elle said. He looked at her then, steady and open. "You did not ask for anything back," she said. "It was not owed. You did not even ask for my thanks. I don't need it. I want to give it anyway," she said. "And something else." She took Ruthie's hand and felt the pulse there. "Justice first," she said softly. "Then love promised when I am ready." Caleb's shoulders eased. "I hear you," he said. "I can wait." "I know you can," she said. "I see it when you hold a hot bar and take one more breath before you strike. You wait for the iron to be ready, not just for your arm." He laughed once. "I do. I am not iron," she said. "But I am heating. I am changing shape. I won't rush you." "Good," she said. "Walk with me." "That is all. I will." Stars came out. Ruthie yawned and climbed into Elle's lap. After a while, Caleb said, "Tomorrow I'll speak to the board about the closet." "I will bring a plan," Elle said. "Sheets, soap, schedules, a small fund for tickets out." "Three Hills will help," he said. "And the banker owes the town," Elle said. "We will make him pay for wood and locks." "Good," he said. Elle thought of girls who would step down from cars and meet a door that held. She thought of names she would write in neat lines, not to trap a soul but to set her free. Ruthie lifted the blue ribbon. "This should hang by the safe bed," she said, "so women know they are seen." "We'll hang it," Caleb said. They rose and walked to the schoolhouse to measure the back wall. "A cot here," Elle said. "A peg there. A wash basin. A mirror small enough not to steal light." "I'll build the cot," Caleb said. "Oak if I can. Pine if I can't." "Pine will do," she said. "Soft is gentle." "You've been holding yourself hard a long time," he said. Hard until I could be safe, she said. Then soft so I can be ready. They went back along the street. On the porch again, Elle touched his sleeve. Thank you for not demanding what I did not have to give. You are not a debt, he said. You are a person with a will. She felt the truth of that. Then here is my will, she said. We open the teacher's room and the safe bed. We keep the door. We go slowly, and we see what love makes in time. In time, he said. At the threshold, she turned. Good night, Caleb. Good night, Ella. He walked into the cottonwoods, a figure with work in him and mercy under it. Ella watched until the dark took him in. Then she went inside with Ruthie and laid her in bed. She set the blue ribbon on the windowsill where the dawn would find it. In the hush, she heard the town's new shape, the sound of a door that holds and a promise kept without hurry. She bowed her head and let hope settle like a blanket. Warm and very real. If this touched you, support the channel. Subscribe, like, and comment justice first. Your click tells YouTube to show this to more romance fans. New stories are coming. Stay close.